Brothers and sisters, on behalf of the Board of Action for Equity and the entire leadership team, I just want to greet you and say how grateful I am to be able to be a part of this tremendous virtual gathering that is going on today, thanks to the work of Sarah Montgomery and others involved with pulling together this Every Child North Carolina coalition. We are in a season right now that no one has seen for at least 50 years, if not longer. We're in a season right now where there is a moment that must become a movement that will help us to complete the unfinished work for which so many fought, bled, and died over a generation ago, for which so many gave their blood, sweat, tears, and eventually, in many cases, their lives for the sake of civil rights, for the sake of equity, for the sake of a real and meaningful opportunity for all people in this country, not just the white, not just the rich, not just the privileged, to have a chance to build a life of prosperity and power. We believe that what is happening right now is unique in this history of this nation, because for the first time, we are seeing a large number of woke white people coming out onto the streets to march alongside their black brothers and sisters to declare that Black lives matter, to declare that if there is no justice, there will be no peace, to declare that the status quo is not adequate, must be disrupted, and in fact, as they once accused the apostles in Scripture, have come to turn the world upside down. The only reason you need to turn something upside down is because it wasn't right side up to begin with. This nation has never been right side up in the way that it has treated ethnic and racial minorities, in the way that it has treated the poor, in the way that it has treated our children who were not born into the privileged class of this country. The work of Every Child North Carolina is about addressing one of the fundamental root issues that is directly connected to all of the unrest that we have seen throughout this country, even in the midst of a pandemic that is still taking lives. Educational equity is and will be one of the defining issues of our time, because it is still the case that too many, far too many, black and brown children, black and brown and poor children do not have access to and are not provided with the resources necessary to make sure that they receive the sort of education that will enable them to prosper, to achieve, and to meet the standards of excellence that we know are so critical for success in this world and success in this life. So it is my hope that what is happening here today will be one of the major steps that we are taking together across this state to leverage every means that we have at our disposal. Legal, action in the streets, advocacy amongst our government officials, and even the work of revolutionary reform inside our existing institutions to flood, and I mean flood in a biblical sense, our schools, especially those schools that are under threat of being taken over by the state, Title I schools, disproportionately black and brown and poor schools, to flood our schools with the kind of resources that will erase the inequities that have plagued them for so many years. I've said before that equity is not about making things equal, it's about making things right. Justice is about equity. Justice is about making things right. Hundreds of thousands, millions even of people are marching on the streets all over this nation because they are determined to make things right for people of color, for black people, for marginalized people in this nation who find themselves subject to the brutality of those who have been put in place to protect the interests of the money class, the property class, white people. The time is now. The moment is right here to turn the tide, to get to that intersection in the arc of the moral universe where it finally bends towards justice, and to push it around that corner. So we should not take for granted the importance of what is happening here today and the work that still lies ahead. You're going to have an opportunity to hear from young lady Daisy Almonte, who is one of the examples of the young leadership that is out there leading us on the streets around this nation. The young leadership that has the zeal, the passion, and the fire to make up and to compensate for the ways in which we have become complacent and enslaved and unknowingly content with the status quo. We can be no longer. Each and every child in this state and in this land deserves a quality, individualized education that will empower them to fulfill all of their dreams, reach all of their goals, and be everything that they are meant to be, and then some. So I invite you into a conversation today. I invite you to commit yourself to be a part of the work of equity and justice for all of our children. God bless you today. Thank you to Sarah Montgomery and to all of those who made this gathering possible.